Welcome back. Today I'll be sharing the 5 mistakes at my wedding that I don't want you to make, so stay tuned. So my first couple of videos were all about planning for your wedding, things to consider, choosing your destination, ways to save money. But the things I'm going to share next are things that I probably would not have thought about until going through having a wedding and going through the process. So I want to share these things with you now so you don't make any of these mistakes. All right, so the first mistake I made was not having a shot list for my photos. So what is a shot list? A shot list is something that you can give to your photographer ahead of the wedding with specific photos that you want to be taken. So let's say you want a photo with your favorite cousin, or a photo with your dad, or a photo with whomever. The shot list would have that information, or maybe even a photo with a specific background. Photographers, especially if they're a wedding photographer, they do this all the time, so they know typically the photos that most people want. However, there may be something specific you want, and this is your moment, so you don't want to lose the opportunity to get those shots. So create that shot list before the wedding, give it to the photographer, walk around your venue, get familiar with it, think about places where you would want to have your photos taken so you can have that pre-planned and get all of the shots that you want. Number 2, and this is also on the topic of photography, make sure you have a bridesmaid, a friend, a relative, someone with you when you're taking the solo photos with you and your partner, because there may be things that need tweaks. For example, you may have your hair in a particular style and there might be a hair out of place. And this is definitely something a photographer can remove in Photoshop and with the editing, but having someone else there with you to say, hey, let me fix the veil, let me fix your train, or for your partner, let me fix your collar or shirt or what have you, or whatever they're wearing. It's really great to have someone with that eye. And a lot of times photographers can do that, but having that additional support, I think, would go a very long way. So totally consider that. If you are having an elopement or you just don't have someone that can support you in that manner, have a mirror with you, a big mirror even, so you can look at yourself. Maybe ask the photographer along the way, can I see that picture, to make sure you look the way you want to look for your wedding. An example of what happened with me, there were a couple of times where my veil wasn't quite right, and my photographer was able to make the necessary edits in Photoshop or whatever tool he uses, I'm not sure, and it looks great. But you want to have as little editing as possible, so get it right the first time. Have someone with you, or have a mirror, or stop, pause, take a look at the photos as you go along. Number 3, so this is one where one of my aunts actually was telling me about this, but I was so caught up in planning and everything else that I heard her, but I didn't hear her. So having an aisle runner, depending on where you get married, you may need an aisle runner, or maybe you won't need one. So what are those? You may have seen them on Instagram recently, or Pinterest, or if you're looking at bridal or wedding things. It is something that you put down the aisle, and it makes it a lot easier for your veil or your train, if you have that as part of your dress, to move down the aisle. Depending on where you're getting married, again, you may not need this. I got married on a fort. I will share some pictures, and there was a lot of grass. So I think if I had an aisle runner, my veil and my dress would have moved a little bit more seamlessly down the aisle. And some folks do really cool things. They may have initials on an aisle runner or a logo for their wedding, or I've seen a really cool one where it was see-through and people could kind of see themselves through. It was gorgeous. So think about that, especially if you have a long train or a long veil or something that would be brushing down the aisle. It also preserves your veil and your train as well. All right, next one. And this one is kind of interesting, and there's no way I would have thought about this if I didn't go through it. My cousin gave me beautiful earrings for the wedding. They were gorgeous. However, they were heavy. So for the ceremony, totally fine. But for the reception, I took my earrings out when my song came on because I couldn't quite move and dance the way I needed to with the earrings. And it's not something I wanted to do, but it just made things a bit easier. So I would recommend, especially if you want to dance the way I wanted to dance at my wedding, think about your jewelry, think about your dress and what you have on for the reception, especially for dancing, and making sure it is good to go for dancing. And think about the weight of those earrings. I'm not kidding. Mine were too heavy. My song came on, I had to take them off for a little bit. And you don't want to do that because you want to be able to capture the images when you have your earrings off. But I have an image where I'm taking the earrings off. So it's kind of funny, but it's not something you want to have to think about during your wedding. So think about it beforehand and plan for that, and think about adjustments you may need to make to your outfit for the reception, especially when you're dancing. And last but not least, number 5. So I had a specific dress code for my wedding. It was 2 parts, the ceremony in the morning and the reception in the evening. For the ceremony, it was tropical elegance, and for the evening it was bold, bright colors, no black, no white. And one thing I did not include in the dress code when I shared that with my guests was footwear. Got married again on a fort. There's rock, there's a slope, and there was a lot of grass for my reception. So I think I could have done a better job sharing what type of footwear people should wear to feel most comfortable in those environments. So consider that as well when you think about the dress code for your wedding and what you share with your guests, particularly if you're having your wedding in a very unique location where there might be more walking, or the terrain may be something that is not typical. So think about those things. I hope this was helpful to you. Again, these were not things that would have come to mind beforehand. You kind of have to live it to experience it to know. And I hope this helps with your wedding planning. I will be wrapping up this wedding series soon because I want to talk about travel. I want to talk about real estate and properties and a host of other things. But if you have any questions about weddings, please put them below. I've already gotten some from social media because I would like to include it in the last couple of videos in this series. So I look forward to hearing your questions, and I cannot wait for our next video. See you next time.